Okay, just start off. So, when and where were you born?
Dundee, 17th of October 1927.
Fantastic.
And I was born same Dundee, 15th of March, 33.
Okay, so tell me about your parents. What kind of jobs did they have?
My father was an engineer, a milling machine in a foundry, which he went to when he was demobbed after the First World War. And he worked there until the Second World War. And then, I was away from home at the time, I was in the Air Force at the time, and I got a letter saying that your father had left Blackness Foundry and had gone to an American firm, the National Cash Register in Dundee. So instead of going out in his dungarees in the morning, he went out in a collar and tie. First time in his life. And finished when he retired in the Cash Register, NCR.
Okay, who did you serve with in the First World War?
Royal Horse Artillery and then the Field Artillery. Horse Artillery first and the Field Artillery.
Okay. Smashing. What about?
My mum worked in the jute mills. She was a weaver. And Dad had various jobs, driving this, that and the next thing, or working in jute mills.
Okay. How large was your family? Did you have brothers and sisters?
I had one brother, only 5 years older than me, well, 4.5 to be technical, older than I was.
Okay.
Awesome. And I had 4 brothers.
4 brothers.
You can tell him his name. Pardon?
Well, my brother's name was Austin.
Austin.
I suppose after Austin Chamberlain, that's the only Austin we knew.
What was your father's name?
Oh, sorry, my father was Austin. he was after Austin Chamberlain. My brother's name was
with the wrong thing in my head.
My brother's name was Austin, after my father. After Austin Chamberlain.
Fantastic. So, did you have a happy childhood?
Yes, as everybody in the 90s who was a working class had a very ordinary childhood. We didn't go to dancing classes and things like that. But happy enough childhood, same as all the kids around about. As far as I knew, they all seemed happy enough. They all seemed well enough fed. Can't remember about any of them who were obese, but as we all are now.
But your mum held down 2 jobs, more than 2 jobs sometimes.
Yeah, my mother had originally worked in the same kilos, but she had worked in the factory, and then she worked in the shops later. Later than that, she worked in evenings as a cashier in the picture house in the Kinnaird Theatre, in Kinnaird Picture House rather, in Dundee. And after that, finished working in a coffee shop, Braithwaite's in Dundee.
Okay.
Next door to Keeler's Castle Street.
So what about yourself, Mrs. Gordon? Do you have a happy childhood?
Oh, well, I never thought about it. It was just normal. 2 outstanding stories, or at least one that I can remember now. At Christmas time, some Christmas time before I was 12ish, my father had found a doll for me, and dolls were not easily come by at Christmas time in these days. And on Christmas Day, one of my brothers was testing the powers of this doll to swing in the air. Crash! That was the end of that doll's face.
Oh dear.
That's about the only thing that...
One of these dolls were China face.
Oh yeah, this one had a porcelain or whatever kind of thing. But I mean, it wasn't cloth, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
and it got itself all hashed up.
And I
that
think
Christmas
that
Day.
you were different from where I was because we had lots of kids. I lived in a kind of a land, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Several
7, 8,
houses.
yeah, a back land and a front land, so we had plenty of places to play, and there were quite a lot of families in this land, you know. Not a tenement,
Uh-huh.
plenty of greenery and gardens and a back road where there was no traffic, so you could play football and cricket and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But plenty of kids. I think you would
We were
probably...
a bit different in that we were a ground level,
Lucky
a wee house.
Yeah.
And then upstairs was 2-storey, and I think they did taking in, what's his names,
Borders.
boarders, toffs and
Yes,
comes
but
to
you didn't have...
We didn't have
children.
many. We didn't. They had 1 or 2 children,
But
but only 1 or 2. And then there were us downstairs. Well, there wouldn't be 5 of us then. There would only be 3 of us then
yeah.
at that time. But no, children were there because I can remember it's a police story which some folk might want to shut their ears to. And we were in the park, which was just across the road, and one policeman was walking along the road, and somebody had the temerity to shout, "Hey, Chiselchin!" And Chiselchin came after us, and we ended up at the top of the law, and Chiselchin had long given up.
Fantastic. So basically, you had a happy childhood growing up in Dundee. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. What were your interests as a child?
Played football, I suppose, that's all.
Yeah.
Broke your arms, both arms at the same time? One arm and then the other?
I was growing up at that time. I was second year at the Morgan, I think.
How did you broke the first one?
Fell off my bike going home at lunchtime. Well, the roads had been repaired and they had chuckies, you know,
Yeah.
over the top, and of course they were all loose. So I'm cycling along and fell. Got on my bike again and got home and had my dinner and had a look at my arm and it would have been my aunt, maybe my mother would have been there. That's a longer story, but my mother had been brought up by 2 maiden aunts. Well, no, one was maiden aunt, the other had married. But the maiden aunt and the married couple lived in the same house.
Okay.
And we, as a family, lived in the back land. And my brother and I usually got our lunch in the front land because my mother would have been working. My father worked at the other end of the town. He was in the west end, we were in the north end. So we had lots of contact with the front land. And I had shown my mother could well have been there, I can't remember, but I had an arm like this, a green stick fracture, you know, which only bent.
Yeah.
So I had to go and get a plaster on this, and then about a fortnight later I was playing football with the laddies.
With a broken arm.
I went down on the other arm, but I had a crack, so I had a collar and cuff bandage on
Did
this
you not have to go and find your mother at the picture house?
Aye, that's right. My mother worked in the Kinnaird at that time, and I had gone down at tea time and said, ooh, you know. So that was me up to the hospital and collar and cuff bandage. That didn't happen.
Yeah. That's actually unfortunate.
Not very exciting.
So what about yourself? What kind of interests did you have as a child?
I can't remember.
No?
I must have
Staying
done.
at the laddies' road, I
I must
suppose.
have done something. The only thing I remember when Laurie said bike was Dad was often enough off work with serious rheumatics.
Okay.
I mean, he just could not move.
Yeah.
And the doctor was due to come in to see him one day. And I was in the park with my bike, and some horrible boys shouted bad words to me. So I was hurrying myself away, And when you came out of the park, you were immediately onto this main road. Well, main road.
Yeah.
Compared to now, it was
Yeah.
nothing. But onto this. So I
It was a
chose.
road to Lochie, it was a Lochie road.
I chose to run up the pillar at the end of the park gate. So of course the bike went up and I came down. And then when the doctor came, Dad was crippling about the house and he was cosseting me because I was sore here. But I don't remember the outcome. I don't remember I got anything. Probably the doctor said stupid person.
Yeah.
But you spent a lot of your time looking after your brothers, did you not?
I suppose I did, but I don't remember. I mean, it was just something you did. I mean, if Mum wasn't there, then you just saw to them, if they would allow you.
And then there was the story about not being able to afford a doctor.
Oh yeah, well that was 3 and 6. 3 and 6 was a lot of money. But I mean, Dad was off and off with rheumatics. Quite so.
Yeah. Okay. Can any of you remember the build-up to war?
No.
No.
Come on,
So-
you can remember where you were when war was declared. So
I can
think
remember
about it.
I can remember, but that was not the build-up.
Well, think about it.
Uh,
It's in there.
not really. I mean, I was what, 10, 11?
Yeah.
11. And I mean, there was the radio. There was no television. You didn't get stuff thrown at you day by day by day. It's very difficult to remember now whether you remember Mr. Chamberlain coming back actually, because you didn't see him on television.
Yeah.
I've seen him umpteen times on television since. You might have seen him on the movie Tone News, you know,
Because you went to the pictures every week.
Because you went to the pictures every week with my uncle on
Who?
my mother's auntie's husband. You know, he wasn't on our side of the family, if you know what I mean. Taylor then, James Taylor, who came from Aberdeen. But yeah, he took me to the Odeon. Well, it was the Vogue initially. When I was at school first, it was a blacksmith's toying shed shop. And then they knocked that down and built a picture house.
And you got the news there.
But you know, I mean, I don't remember any build-up to the war.
Yeah.
I remember the day war was declared. I remember
Yeah, that's.
Chamberlain, you know, speaking. Hitler has not answered.
Yeah.
What were you saying about where you were sitting or something? You were telling me.
I was sitting on a wee stool with my foot on it and a poultice, well not a poultice, but a bandage on my foot because I'd been playing football the day before and the nail for one of the studs had gone through into my heel, you know. So I was sitting there
You
at
was a
age
fair
11
Not much luck.
in my Auntie Mary's.
Yeah. When you heard it on the radio.
Heard on the
Presume.
radio, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember nothing.
No.
Nothing.
Just a bit too young maybe.
Well, I mean, you just think you'd remember something. I mean, I had to be 6, 7, 6, I
Yeah.
think.
Did you know the war was happening?
Not me.
When did you first realise that there was a war?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think probably. Well, I mean, I must have been aware because we used to go to the Forest Park cinema once in a blue moon.
Do you
and get
remember
this-
your dad going? Because
No.
he went and came back. You don't
Yes.
remember that?
No, I don't remember that. I
Yeah.
don't remember Dad going to the army, but he was in the army because he was then tipped out of the army again because of his rheumatics.
Yeah.
But I don't remember him going. But I remember seeing a picture of him with his uniform. But for
Yeah.
going, no, I don't.
See, a lot of people remember it because of the Battle of Britain,
Hmm.
because that's sort of the first experience they had, like seeing the enemy planes.
Mm.
Like Dundee was largely spared
Yeah.
during the Battle of Britain.
Dundee had nothing.
Dundee.
One or two bombs.
Yeah.
We did make preparations in case we were bombed.
Uh-huh.
Because we were street level house
Yeah.
with a cellar downstairs, and part of the cellar was rigged up should we ever need to go into hiding from the
Yeah.
Germans and anybody else.
So it was like an air raid shelter sort of built yourselves underneath.
Mhm.
underneath.
And you also got sent to Old Portlethen.
Oh, that's right, yes, I was evacuated to here.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, for our safety,
Yeah.
to Old Portlethen, right down on the water. The
Yeah.
last row of houses and the last row in.
Okay.
And that was Granny Patterson, who had a daughter, Margaret, who stayed in some of the houses before. But that's about all I can remember.
Yeah. What, did you have a happy time here, or was it like you wanted to be back home?
I don't know.
No,
I don't
not at all.
I know that it wasn't very long because by that time Dad had been sent from wherever he was, what's the word?
Demoted? No,
No, before that.
enlisted?
No, he wasn't whenever he was working in the army.
Station.
Station, that's the word.
Yeah.
When he was moved out of wherever he was moved to Edinburgh Castle, as far as I know,
Okay.
because it was part of it was turned into a hospital.
That's correct. It's
And
the
is that
hospital
correct?
square. Hospital square in Edinburgh.
I've never confirmed it, but that's what
Yeah. No, there's definitely a
What's
hospital.
what I was told, what I remember, and he was there, and Mum had to go one weekend. I mean, she was in a juvenile all week, Monday to Saturday. Then one weekend she went to Edinburgh to visit him in the hospital, and then came up here the other weekend, and it couldn't happen. It couldn't go on.
Yeah.
And so we were the ones who were moved, because that was much easier.
Yeah.
But then I don't remember him coming home from the hospital.
Yeah. Okay, so as I was saying about the Battle of Britain, like Dundee was largely spared. It was,
Yeah.
there was more attacks on Montrose because of the airfield there.
I think they probably had about, as far as I can remember, about half a dozen bombs. There was one in Rosefield Street.
Yeah, I can remember. I don't remember. I remember the hearsay of it.
Yeah.
Where Dad went to the front door. Our house was on the road to Lochee, and Dad went to the front door because there was a little bit of a commotion. And later we heard that the bomb had been dropped several streets back there. And this is just a commotion. Nothing happened to us.
And was that Rosefield Street, was it? No?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think there's actually pictures of that house that was hit by a bomb. I'll see if we can
I
maybe.
can't remember ever seeing it. There was
Oh,
also a bomb dropped outside our science master's house on the other side of the town. Why it was dropped there, goodness only knows. The bomb said, well, no,
The
taking
people
us
at
back to
Morgan
Germany
knew
or
why.
that's right. We reckon he was targeted, but they missed him. That's not very nice.
Humorous though.
There was a hole in the road, and it's right in the middle of the
Yeah,
road, outside his house. No names, no background.
Yeah. So was any of your family, extended family, actually in the armed forces during the war?
My brother was Merchant Navy.
Okay.
Who got away, in a sense, by accident, because he was serving his time as an engineer, like my father, but he would only be about 17 then, and he was applying to get away to the Merchant Navy. Was too young to be called up, obviously. And one day a telegram arrived saying report with full kit to Greenock. And of course, you know, what's full kit? So my mother obviously phoned the office that the telegram had come from. This was Salveson of Leith, who in pre-war days had been a whaling company. And it was discovered it was just a mistake. You know, Austin's name and address had been lying, and the telegram was sent to him instead of sent to Willie McTavish or whoever it was that it should have gone to.
Okay.
However, they invited him through for an interview. I remember the whole family going through to Leith and Austin going up for his interview, and he went off to the Merchant Navy just after that. And he was torpedoed 1943, March 1943, the height of the Atlantic Convoy War.
Okay. Did he survive that?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went on to be a captain of a BP tanker.
Oh, okay.
Went on to be Master Mariner.
Master Mariner.
And what ship was he on?
Southern Princess,
Southern Princess.
which had been a factory ship for whaling, you know.
Okay.
And I can't remember where I found it at one point in time, 'cause I'm trying to find it just now, but I googled him at one point in time, and the bit of information, I think it was to do with the Southern Princess, said that he ran away. But that's nonsense.
I've no idea. He never spoke about it, to my knowledge. He was just torpedoed and picked up.
Right, no, but it's the bit of information that I found at some point in time said that he ran away to join the Merchant Navy.
Oh, no,
Like,
no, no.
ran away, but that's
No.
nonsense.
No. He worked in McLean's. He worked in an office, first of all, a jute office, when he left school. He left the WarGen, he'd been about 15, 16 maybe. He worked in the jute office. But he didn't like that, and he wanted to go to the Merchant Navy. And he went to McLean's in Fairmuir to serve his time. And that's where he was when he was writing letters to get away. And this thing from Salveson came.
You don't know. Why did he want to go? No idea. Why did he do that instead of...
Oh, well, I mean, another great uncle, that's the best I can put it, Carnegie, was merchant seaman. And when Austin was at school at the Morgan, age maybe 13, 14, that's before the war obviously, Carnegie used to take him away coasting. I can't remember who he was with. But Austin would go to Holland and France, just coasting around, and that obviously put him in, touch with the sea. And I suppose at 13, 14, 15 or whatever, well, say 13, 14, I wouldn't say 15, that would be nearer the war. He just was attracted to the sea. I mean, nobody else had any sea connections in the family.
Oh well, that's good. What about yourself? Any of your family serving in armed forces?
As far as I know, only two of Dad's brothers were in the forces. I don't know which. I think one was Army, one might have been Air Force, but I don't know.
Yeah, no problem. Did any of your family or friends join the Home Guard?
No.
No?
Nobody, no. I had various cousins because my father was of a large family, well, large now, maybe that's the last, there must have been about 9 of them, I think, brothers and sisters. I had various cousins. I am the youngest, I'm the only one left, to the best of my knowledge, of that generation. I'm definitely the only one left of that generation. But various of these were called up in the army. One was, the one nearest to me age-wise was prisoner of war with a Black Watch taken at St. Valerie.
Oh yes, first
There would be a lot of folk like that.
Yeah, especially in the northeast.
Who was that?
Jim and Hilda. I don't know that you would have known.
I think they stayed in Blackadder, did they?
No, it was
I know, I
McRitchie.
can see him now,
That was-
Chick.
That was Chick McRitchie. He married, I can't remember.
Yeah.
We'll have to have written it all down. May Gordon, that was Uncle Alec's daughter.
So, moving on, at the young age whenever war broke out, was it a shock to the system? I mean, you obviously didn't realise sort of you were at war, the country was at war, but yourself...
That's just my mum. That's my mum in general. The world goes on round about her. Total oblivion.
No, not really. I mean, I can't remember it being a shock at the age of 11 as I was. I wasn't evacuated. My mum wouldn't let me go. If we all go together.
Aye.
But they dropped the bombs on Aberdeen and
That's right, yeah. That's what makes it bizarre that you were like moved from Dundee, which was relatively lightly bombed during the Second World War, moved to Aberdeen, which is like the second most bombed city in Scotland, I
First
think.
off, especially being down near the water.
Oh me. So, in those days, what was camaraderie like in the community? Obviously, you would have friends whose fathers were away fighting or whatever. Was there any like community spirit more so than normal?
Oh, Brian, difficult for a youngster to speak about community spirit amongst the adults, you know, because we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
We all played together. And I wouldn't say that anybody ran to their neighbours with a cup of sugar and a cup of... I mean, I've heard all these stories.
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody being in desperate need like that.
Yeah.
It was never down to that level
Yeah.
that I can remember. As I say, you hear the, you know, some tea or a cup of sugar or this or that.
So like rose-tinted spectacles, maybe. Looking back. Yeah.
We did get bananas.
Yeah?
Yeah, but they didn't come from local community. Mum had, I think it was cousins, and they were abroad in the war, and they sent. And I can remember the cigar box. It looked like a cigar box to me. And in it had 1 or 2 or 7 bananas, I don't know, and they were all black as coal.
I don't know.
Did you try them?
Wee cigars, wee
I don't
bananas.
know. No, it was a box that length.
Mm.
I don't remember size-wise, but it was...
Who worked at the docks and took stuff in?
No,
That was Grandad. That was Grandad.
he was a stevedore.
He was a stevedore, and he got some bits and pieces like...
Once in a blue moon. I mean, who would
But I
draw
mean,
a pomegranate during the war? That probably was after the war, was it?
It might well have.
Oh me. So day-to-day living conditions, comfortable?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well enough, yeah.
Different to now.
Oh, I mean, obviously. Anybody that's going to be watching this would know that.
Well, I mean, one of the big things was having electric put in, was it not? I can remember that, even in Lochie Road. So that was before 1945.
That's right. I remember my mother fighting with a factor or something.
And the Manny Rosen came in and he...
Yeah, Johnny Rosen on the Hilltown.
On the Hilltown,
And
yes, I could still...
that, he put in her electric in Lochie, and he put our electric in Clipping Road, the other end of the town, Johnny Rosen. And I remember my mother having to, or my father, but it would have been my mother would have had to do it probably, had to promise the landlord, you had to sign a line saying that if you left the house you wouldn't take the wires with you. that's true.
Yeah.
And probably you've heard it umpteen other places, or you should have, because I mean, that's what folk had to do, you know.
Yeah.
There was something on the wireless the other day. Was it the wireless or was it here?
I don't know.
That in this missive of light, or whatever you call it, you weren't allowed to put out washing in your back house,
It was on the
in your
wireless.
garden,
No, it was in the Saga magazine. I
your
think.
own garden,
I think it was a Saga
on a
magazine.
Sunday.
Mhm.
You're still not allowed to do that in Inverality. Well, you're looked upon.
Looked upon, yes.
that's
much
a-
this day.
That's a different matter,
Yes.
but this was in this light.
Yes,
You weren't allowed to hang washing out
On a
on
Sunday.
a Sunday, yeah.
on a Sunday.
Mhm.
Okay.
But this was on the wireless.
I think it was in the magazine. I don't
Oh,
think
sorry.
I think it was in the magazine.
Well, it was in the magazine. It was
Someone
last month's
Someone
saga.
had parked a caravan or something like that and restricted someone's view. And they wondered, I mean, I'm just doing this from rusty memory, they wondered if they could cause this thing to be moved because it was a nuisance to them.
Yeah.
And the man said, draw. And part of it was this business, putting out clothes on a Sunday. You are not allowed to do that. but because of modern movements, the caravan might be in a different position altogether.
Bizarre. So, a typical day in your life. What was your schools like whenever you were at school?
Mr. Laurie and Mr. Duncan, I can remember them. Hetty and the second. And I can't remember the teacher, Miss I can remember her, I can nearly draw her when I think of her. Well, I mean,
What schools did you go to?
some folk would say a bit of a hatchet, but no.
Yeah.
I'm the boss. I tell you what to do, and you do it, end of story.
That'll be where she got her teaching abilities from then. You know, did you model yourself on her?
Really well, I've done Miss Rutherford, that was her.
That was Mitchell Street School.
Mitchell Street
was
School,
Wartime.
yes.
Yeah.
Which,
Mitchell Street School.
Mitchell Street, yes, en route for Lochie. And in some part of the war, I don't remember when, we were not in Mitchell Street, we were up Rankin Street in what was, I think, a clinic eventually, but that was where we went for school.
They actually moved
But
the
I don't
school.
remember its story. I don't remember how many of us were moved, because the school building was yawn size, it was big-ish.
Have moved part of it.
They must have
there,
moved a bit
part
of it.
somewhere else.
But I can remember Rankin Street as part of the school at some time during the war.
We was given gas masks. And
Oh yes,
things
with
like that,
gas mask, yes. And the baby got a baby gas mask. Yeah.
Yeah. What about yourself? What school did you go to?
Butterburn School.
Okay.
Strathmartin Road rather. And my first teacher was Miss Keel, and the second teacher was Miss Cook, and I think there was a Miss Davidson, and there was a Miss Speed who died in her 30s. She lived in Seafield Road down in off the Nethergate, off Perth Road. Seafield. The only male teacher, apart from the head teacher, was a Mr. Murray, and the head teacher was Mr. Brown. Perfectly happy. I used to run home dinner time up Roberts Road trying to catch up my great uncle, my aunt's husband. Wouldn't it be a great uncle actually? But no, sorry, my mother's aunt, so it's great uncle right now.
Yes.
My mother's aunt's husband, who was the one who came from Aberdeen, and he worked there, and Butterburn School was there, but he got off at dinner time at 12 o'clock, and he was halfway home for his broth, and I got out at 10 past 12 or something, and every day tried to catch him up, and never managed it. I think never realised that I would never do it. And got home every day, had my dinner, and went back to school. School was perfectly happy.
Yeah.
I was able for school, therefore I had no qualms. One or two of the laddies were poorish souls, not mentally but work-wise and intellectually, you know. I can remember one or two of them by name. I remember one laddie was killed, Robert Love, killed by a bus in Strathmartin Road, just along the road from the school. Can see him, nice lad.
Can't have been much chance of getting killed by a bus at that point in time, eh? You're pretty unlucky.
Yeah.
Too many of them gonna boot, eh?
That's true. Yeah.
And not flying.
So can you remember any particularly funny incidents from your childhood? I think you've pretty much covered. Your doll's getting smashed and cycling up the wall.
That's the one that comes to mind, your doll.
You dropped your brother out the
No.
front steps, kicked the pram.
Was it? That was her on up the road. Down at not Blackscroft, the other side of town, the Burn, down the Burn. And we were heading back
The
up
Burn
to
was Skoorenburn, which is now called, I think, Brook Street.
Brook Street, that's right.
So Burn and the Brook, right?
Yeah.
But the Skoorenburn would have been where folk in the old days
Really
went to
old.
do washing and stuff like that, you know.
And
It's the only thing I can think of.
I had been given charge of the child, whether I'd been sent messages as as one was. One was sent messages because Mum didn't have time to do family, do house, do work and do shopping as well. So quite often I would be sent shopping, and I was sent complete with the pram and this infant child in it. And I mean, he was wee.
Yeah.
He wasn't a sitting up child.
Was this Kenny or Stan?
Ken. And I was pushing the pram and then running after it and catching it. And I think it hit a Chucky and the whole thing was
I did almost the same thing in Lochee, funnily enough. My mother had one younger sister, Laurie, and Laura had a son, Lawrence, and my mother and I used to go on a Tuesday afternoon to Laura's for tea, and Laura had a thing for keeping butter soft. She was 5 years younger than my mother, so things had changed.
Yeah.
You know, you had this butter cover and you poured hot water in the top bit
Okay.
and put it on top of the butter plate, and it kept the butter soft. She must have got it for a wedding present.
Yeah.
Anyhow, this Tuesday we had gone for a walk through Lochee for some reason or other, and there was a tramway depot which had obviously cairns, you know. There were no such thing as wee slopes for prams and things.
Yeah.
And I'm hurling this, not tan sad. Laura was quite posh, and she had a thing like Silver Cross. She's gone, her husband's gone, Lawrence is gone, and I'm pushing this thing, as I say, like a Silver Cross up, and we come to the tramway depot now.
Yeah.
And of course the first two wheels go down and hanging on like this, and everybody's chasing behind so that Lawrence doesn't fall out on his head.
Oh, me.
Which is of no consequence other than if she had a pram coat, I had a pram coat too.
Fantastic. So, where were you when the war ended? Obviously it's 6 years on.
I must have been in the same place, but I don't remember that.
There's a surprise.
But because at the end of the war, we had a neighbour who came from Glasgow, and for some reason or other, I think they had two girls who came from Hungary. They had adopted two girls, and they had a son of their own. Maybe they had other family, I don't remember that. And they hied off to Luton. And I don't know why my mum and dad were persuaded that we should go to Luton.
Emigrate for a better life.
But in the house in Luton, there was the two, whatever they were called, can't remember, the mum and dad, and the two girls, and the boy, who was sort of 8ish. And in the same house, which was an up and down stairs, not big, were my mum and dad, and two brothers, and me. So how did we all get into this house?
Just confirm this was in Luton.
In Luton.
Just outside London.
7 Devon Road, Luton Beds,
Yeah.
England.
Okay.
Yes. And we were there, but that was the very, I think the war had finished and we went down on the January after,
Okay.
I think.
46.
And we were there for 6 months-ish, and the said brother who was toppled out of the pram years before, he took lumps on his legs.
Okay.
So Mum took him to the doctor, and the doctor said, best thing you can do is take that child home, and by home I don't mean to Devon Road, I mean Scotland. Take him home, because he will be ill if you don't. And whether this is true or false, the story was, the children couldn't understand his speech, and he couldn't understand the English twang,
Yeah.
and he worried about it. Well, the mind boggles now if you say Ken worried about that, but that's what the doctor said. And Mum took him home back to Dundee, And then, by the end of June, July, I think the end of July, we were all back home in Dundee,
Yeah.
staying with Granny in a house with one living room, one bedroom. And there was Granny and Grandad, Mum and Dad, and me and 2 brothers.
Well, thanks to the doctor.
It's one way of getting rid of Scots out of England.
And there was a few pomegranates in that house as well.
But he was, once he came home, he went to a thing on the Sidlow Hills, Octor House, I think was a sanatorium in the Octor House. And he was there for some shortish time. And he just recovered. There was no problem.
Okay.
So the doctor must have been right. It was, he was harassed and couldn't cope with the
Yeah.
language, and they couldn't cope with his language.
Okay.
Weird.
Yeah.
And where were you when the war ended?
When the war ended, we had moved from Fairley Place to a council house in Cassville. I'll not tell you how we got that council house.
Come on, tell us how you got that council house.
Well, my mother had been applying for a house, or had applied for a house for, well, it was over 20 years. And because, Orson was away by this time, so, well, it must have been about 20 years, let's say. And nothing ever came of it. And then when she was working in a Kinnaird picture house, the under manager, who was an elderly man, was speaking to a man coming out of the pictures, and this had been a man who worked in the factor's office. I'm not saying he was the city factor, but he must have had a good job, because my mother then spoke to the under manager of the picture house and said, that was so-and-so, wasn't it? So the upshot was that she had to go down to see about why she hadn't had word, but they'd had a fire in the office. You know the story. They'd had a fire in the office. And all the records had been burned.
What's new?
Yeah.
I think that happened about 3 weeks ago somewhere down in Iraq. It was the Home Office where this thing was. Lost the records. Anyhow, we were sitting in our own house, I remember, having lunch one day, dinner.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lunch, it was dinner. It was dinner time anyhow. If I'd said having dinner, you might have thought it was 7 o'clock at night. We were having our dinner one day, and as they say, a knock come to the door, and this was a girl about, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 maybe. And my mother says, if you, to the effect of, if you want the house, you have to come down and see it. This is first we heard the thing. So we ended up in the council house, not very far away, five minutes walk away, in Carsview. By that time, no, not by that time, after that, I left school. I left school early, in a sense, stupidly, but not, because I had had this eye trouble for, well, since I was at Butterburn, and in 5th year, Hires year, I was in hospital. I was at a forestry camp, doing our war effort, during the holidays, with the school, at the same Ochter house, funnily enough. And the eye flared up again, and I was in hospital until, I don't know, it was October or something. And I was adamant I wasn't going back to school because I wouldn't do anything in the Hires.
Okay.
And what was going to do, well, I was sent down for an interview to the Courier. Nothing came of that, never heard anything about it. I was sent for an interview to Smedley's, you know Smedley's? You know the
Tin Peas,
tin
yeah,
who had a factory in Clipping Road, funnily enough, other end of Clipping Road from where I had lived.
Okay.
And I was told to send my father up to, more or less sign for this job. This was in office or something, obviously. But on the way to the office to see this man who was English, I can remember him, and you went through the factory, and water and leaves and stuff lying everywhere. So I said to my father that just to go up, but I didn't want the job. So that was the end of that. And the only thing I had an inkling about doing was baking.
Okay.
Because for years the maiden aunt of these two aunts used to take me up to see friends in Forfar who were bakers. He was a baker, his brother owned the shop in Forfar. And this man would take me to the bakehouse on a Sunday when my auntie was up visiting, and see him preparing for Monday morning, or late Sunday night, early Monday morning. And I don't know, stupidly had an inkling to go to the baking. So I ended up in Keeler's as well,
Okay.
which was about half a mile from where I lived in Carsview. Halfway between the house and the school was Keeler's Bakehouse. So I ended up there until I was called up.
What year would that have been?
Well, I was called up at the end of 45, so that would have been 43 roughly,
Okay.
42, 43.
Aye.
Called up after I had done maybe a couple of years, 2.5 years,
Yeah.
serving the time.
So whenever you were called up, was the war actually finished?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I was called up, well, I got my letter, must have been November or so. It's all there, but you didn't want to see them. Imagine keeping all that of rubbish.
That's fantastic.
The must have been about November or so when you went for your medical.
Uh-huh.
Maybe October, November, and I got my calling up end of December. I had the report on the 5th of February 46, so called up at the end of 1945. And my two pals, one of whom was in the Marines and the other was in the Scots Guards, they were home on New Year's leave and came down to the station on a Sunday night to see me off.
How many years did you serve for?
Just 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah, it was before national service.
Yeah.
What did they make you do? What's the story about what you ended up doing?
Oh, well, I mean, when I went, you had an interview in Dundee, and the lad said, "Oh, baker, oh, you'll be a cook," you know. Well, I mean, what did I know? Cook, I'll be a cook. And then when you were actually called up, you had another interview, and this man said it was a redundant air crew, you know, being the end of the war.
Yeah.
There were air crew everywhere, sergeants, flight sergeants, pilot officers, all looking for jobs, you know. So this lad was, can't remember whether he was a flying officer, flight lieutenant, but he was an officer anyhow. And the wee card table desk thing, you know, and you had the report there. He says, "Cook, you're not wanting to be a cook, are you?" I said, "Well, what do I know about it? What say have I got, you know?" He says, "Cook, you'll be up hours of the morning and night and things. I'll put you down for an electrician."
There's one that's blind in one eye.
7 times. Well, I wasn't as blind in one eye at that time.
Not quite.
But put me down for an electrician. I said, "You're an electrician." And then it must have been a couple of days later or something, I was called back again and says, They reckon with your bad eye you might be colour blind or something. Get all the wires mixed. So we'll put you down as radio.
Okay.
He has got decons for cutting off the wrong wire and trying to wire plugs.
So and ended up in the radio section.
Oh well.
The RTO radio. God, I've forgotten. RTO radio
Transmission officer.
transmission. Well, I wasn't an officer.
But you went to
radio transmission officer.
you went to India.
Yeah, I've got it on a book here where I went, because I mean this is my story of the being in RAF. To me, it was a holiday,
Yeah.
nothing more or less, and it was a holiday in the sense that I was never more in a camp for more than a couple of months at a time. You know, you're just went from here to there. I went to the bother of writing it down at one time. I can't read it now.
So that would mean like 46, 47.
Yeah,
Yeah.
46.
Just before it
47.
kicked off in India.
Uh,
Alright, okay. Switch London, Lincoln,
But,
Nottingham.
these are the places that I had visited. From the RAF camps.
Because you've been Southampton, Bombay, Peshawar, Delhi, Agra, Lahore, Karachi.
So were you there?
And then you ended up in Hull.
Luffenham.
Were you in India at partition or were you home by that time?
I know, I was in India during partition.
Yeah?
I landed in India end of March 47, and I was home beginning of December 47. 9 months. It was just a holiday.
Yeah.
And England was a holiday. Just seeing different places.
Yeah. I suppose a lot of ex-servicemen, as you say, from the end of the war trying to find work as well. Nothing being demobbed. So, going back to do you remember actually where you were when the war, do you remember hearing about the war ending? How did you hear about it?
Well, I mean, I'd been at home, obviously.
I mean, was there street parties or anything like that in Dundee?
You were in...
Yeah. I'm not very sure of dates,
No, there'd been...
but I think there was some kind of celebration in London,
You
and we were at that time in Luton, because I can remember Buckingham Palace was there and we were there.
Right.
You know, within walking, when I mean walking distance, crossing the road kind of distance.
Yeah.
But then there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of others round about. But certainly I remember that. I remember being in London for
And
that.
when was that? Was that VE Day or
VJ Day, maybe?
VJ Day?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think we went down to London till I think December 45 or January 46. And then we were home 6 months later.
War was finished by then.
Well, we didn't go from Dundee to London.
Oh, of course not.
No way.
You're lucky to get from Dundee to Lochee.
Can you not remember that?
I can't remember where I was. No. Well, I was at home.
Can you remember
And in Dundee,
anything
there were,
around about you at the time? Was there a reaction? Did anybody care?
I suppose everybody was just that fed up with the war that they were just...
there were street parties, I remember them. But
Yeah.
that would be a kind of community thing
Yeah.
that sort of edged out a wee bit. What
Do you
was the name of the
remember them?
street?
Bernard Street.
Bernard Street. Bernard Street was famous for its after the war parties.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I mean, Bernard Street was just a cul-de-sac
Yeah.
of tenement houses, which were poorer than we were, I
That's
suppose.
right.
I would have
think
said.
so. Not poorer
this
than
was-
we were because we went in a tenement.
This was West End of Dundee, but not the West End,
Yeah.
the working West End.
But I have to say, in our house, the cooker was there and the toilet was there. I mean, there was a door into the toilet.
Yeah.
But I mean, when we're talking of levels of living,
Yeah.
well, I don't think they let it go now.
No.
But no, I mean, Bernard Street had parties. So I don't know if there is a Bernard Street nowadays. I mean, we'll have photographs in the house of all Dundee and
Yeah.
Bernard Street and flags everywhere.
Yeah.
Where the folk got the pennies to buy the flags, goodness only knows, but the same flags would have gone up anytime anything happened. Bernard Street was just famous for that. But other than that, it just...
Yeah, so it just passed you by.
Well, I would say thank God that's passed.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's basically it. Do you have any words of wisdom to offer people of today? I like closing with this.
No.
None at all.
No, words of wisdom, I can remember, one of the things I remember about India, well, I mean, there was a lot. I mean, you went to the Taj Mahal and have a photograph taken outside the Taj Mahal and that sort of thing. Well, there's an awful lot of folk when they see the Taj Mahal, you know, when I saw it in 1947. And of course, there was, as Christine says, there was partition, and being in the Air Force, you saw airplanes landing. By that time, I was in what was Pakistan. I was in India at the time of partition, but then we were moved up to Pakistan, and I was in Karachi. And in Karachi, you saw the folk coming off the airplanes, you know, the Muslims, coming back to Pakistan. And largely it was Dakotas, because the Dakota was the transport plane of the time, and all the seats were taken out, and palliasses, you know, mattresses were put in, and the folk just were packed into those things to get home. The one thing I remember about Karachi was going to buy a shirt. Now that's interesting, isn't it? I went to buy a white shirt for Sibby, khaki shorts and a white shirt. And I went to this place in Karachi, and I've forgotten, he was either Cheap John or Honest John was above the shop. I would have suggested Cheap John, because they wouldn't have taken it as cheap as being inferior, you know, we speak about, well, that's cheap, you know. Anyhow, went into the shop, and we must have been paid just the day before or something, and whatever the shirt cost, I had handed over a 10 rupee note, and got change. And went out with there was another lad with me, I don't remember who he was, when I went out and we were walking along the road, and this young lad came charging after us, stop, and handed me a 10 chip note. There must have been two stuck together.
Okay.
And stop, do, and he gave me this one. And I said, thank you very much. And I mean, I was, 18 at the time. And you think, it's just stupid. I mean, how much wage was that to him? Weeks and weeks.
And he was honest.
So maybe it was Honest John.
And I said, thank you.
India's what made my dad become a minister.
Yeah.
And I never knew that till last week before, because I never asked him why he became a minister. And he'd gone to India and he'd seen all these people that needed help. And he came home and he went back to the bacon. And he sat there and thinking, what am I doing this?
And I decided I can't be a minister. I can't be a minister, I'll go to teaching, you know.
Because he wanted to help people.
And they were needing teachers. I'm wasting my time here and, you know, getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, going in at 12 o'clock at night on a Friday, etc., etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd been brought up in the Kirk, been brought up at Sunday school.
They met through the BB, the Life Boys, didn't you? Is that how you met?
Yeah.
The Life Boys. So we just
I
decided to be
remember coming out of
ministers.
the picture house one evening, the Regent, at the top of the hill town, the other end of St Martin Road from the Vogue, the Odeon. I come out of the Regent and top of the hill town, and there's Mains Road and Provost Road. And this way there's Strathmartin Road and Butterburn School and then Caird Avenue, and they meet at the top of Provost Road.
Mm-hmm.
So you come out and you say, well, either wait for a bus or I just walk home. So I just started walking. Will I go that way or will I go that way? And this is the first house of the picture, so it's 8:30, right? And I decided I'll go Strath Martin Road. And we go along Strath Martin Road and I meet a girl with a lifebuoy uniform. A girl who was brought up beside me in Fairley Place, the old land, before the war. And she says, oh, you're the very person I want to see. Would you like to become a lifebuoy leader? Well, I'd grown up in the lifebuoys.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't grow up in the BB because the BB, my age was 11, going on to 12, when I would have been going to the BB. 2 of the BB officers were called up at the beginning of the war, and the BB closed down, Boys Brigade closed down, because the kirk I went to was like Nig, was in the country. At that time, was in the country, right? And there were no, well, there were gas lamps every half mile or something, you see. So the evening things, the youth were stopped. You still went to the Lifebuoys, but it was on a Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
And this girl, Mabel, said to me, would you like to be a lifebuoy leader? I'm needing a man, because it was one girl and me, and a girl played the piano. I'm needing a man in the Lifebuoys. So I joined the Lifebuoys, and then it just rolls on from there. I was going to be, well, I'm not going to be a minister. No, I'm not going to be a minister. I'll go teaching, you see. But I had to get to university, so I had to do, what do you call it, prelims? Was it prelims? Well, it was entry anyhow. I had to get hires. And when I started that, I was going to be teaching, and then I said, in for a penny, in for a pound, you know, just do ministry.
Yeah.
By that time, Mabel was in my life. You remember when I said I was going to do ministry? Anyhow, that was it. But started off in India.
Would you like to get married to a minister or a teacher?
Yeah, it did start off
That
in
was a
India,
question.
no doubt.
Oh well.
Halfway down the Glamis Road.
But I remember not saying to the lad, oh, here's a chip, you know, here's a rupee. Or
Something back.
think of him often.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's fine, if he's still alive.
remember going to another camp too, and you had bearers, you know, somebody who cleaned your boots and made your bed and put up your mosquito net.
And they're thinking about, doesn't it?
Poured out your, it doesn't bear thinking about.
It doesn't. So,
And I remember arriving at this camp, and I was on my own, and you had to get a billet, and there could be about 16, let's say, bed, dozen or 16, depending on the building.
Yeah.
Dozen or 16, and this lad came and was looking for a job as my bearer, for which he got 1 and 6 a week, a rupee, you know.
Yeah.
And he says, a Christian Sab, me Christian. And I remember thinking, well, it didn't make any odds to me whether he's Christian, Muslim,
Yeah.
you know. But it meant something to him, and presumably he thought it meant something to me,
Yeah.
that he was Christian. Got the job. But when you think of what these blokes did, they did your washing, or they took it down to the Dersey Wall, or they took it down to the wash house place and went back and collected it, and brushed your boots, made your bed. Oh, God. Some lads wouldn't even wash their dishes after them, you know, if they got something in the hut.
Oh.
However,
Well, that's not words of wisdom for next generation.
Well, some people have not learned from it, have they?
They don't know history. They don't care. They don't know why things happened, why people did
Well,
things.
I care when I just sit the other night and watch that Syria thing on. 2 nights of Syria. How it can happen is beyond me. On the other hand, I'm not in Syria involved in this side or that side.
Yeah.
It's different when you're there. But from the outsider,
I don't understand why people don't learn from history, but
I don't understand.
Power and money, probably.
Indeed. That's a good place to stop, I think.
Go for it.
Thank you very much.